Yeah.
So then we come to the turnip, which he wakes up, and the turnip is now a giant bowl. Um, and the nail is laying right in the middle of the bowl, right in the center of it. And the interior of the bowl looks like a nutshell in that there is an imprint in the bowl. Um, so I'm thinking like a walnut. Like if you crack open a walnut, like there's
Yeah.
definitely all the nooks and crannies and stuff in there. And he looks carefully at the imprint, and he saw little feet, tiny hands, fine hair, and then the entire body of a wondrously beautiful maiden. So this part's a bit I'm a bit lost on, other than the turnip, like the turnip is buried in the ground and it's round. So there's like a sense of it being anything round, especially like from a Jungian perspective, like anything round is like a wholeness or a completeness. But
Mm.
it's buried in the ground, so it's kind of hidden. You know, I'm also seeing parallels, especially describing it being turned into a bowl. Um, Parallels with the cave, right? Like
Mm.
it's a round. Caves are generally depicted as being kind of round. They're
Mm.
in the ground. They're underground.
Mm.
That's where he finds the old woman. Here, there's the evidence of a beautiful maiden. Um, ageism aside, these are symbols. Do with that what you will, I suppose. But yeah, it's just I still feel like there's something about the turnip that I'm not quite able to wrap my head around, and I don't need to. I'm fine with the mystery, but it is
Mm.
fun to kind of poke at it.
Yeah.
Um, like why is the nail suddenly the nail's there? There wasn't a nail, and now the nail's in the bowl.
Yeah.
Um, and he finds sort of an imprint or a memory or a oh, that's interesting because it's the lack of the maiden that shows him there was a maiden there.
Mm.
Yeah, like because it's the imprint in the turnip bowl.
Mm.
So it's like a casting of
Mm-hmm.
her. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a cavity or a space in the turnip that represents. So like if he is missing this feminine part of himself or whatever it is part that the princess represents, like the
Oh,
first
right.
sign
Yeah.
of her is a lack is a finely detailed understanding of what's missing, as
Yeah.
opposed to just
Yeah.
sort of a longing that you can't name.
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah.
that's I like that. I hadn't thought of that before. That whole passage has been a gristly bit of meat for me that I've just been chewing on since I first read this, like I don't know, year or so ago, year or
Nice.
two, whenever it was. But yeah, something about that. I'm also curious. I should probably look this up. I'm curious about like the symbology of a turnip and what it would have meant to like the German peasants or whomever, at the
Yeah. Yeah. I
time.
was wondering about that too, and I had meant to kind of look it up too. Yeah. Yeah. There may be some specific kinds of things there.
Yeah, yeah. But sadly, neither of us have anything to add on that front. Do you have anything else to add before the prince stumbles off to find the cave and has no trouble finding it?
Not really. But yeah, like it seems to support your drawing a parallel between the nail and the branch when he hits it with, I mean, he sticks the branch into the turnip, but then the nail appears there. So
Mm,
to his perception, there's some kind of parallel there, some identification of the two.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's I hadn't really wrapped my head around that. That's a good point. It's like it's like when the monster comes, the nail disappears and the branch with the thorn is there, and then here the branch with the thorn and the flower turns back into the nail. So like it reconstitutes the original mission, and he's completed it now. Except he doesn't have the beautiful woman, the beautiful wife. He has a sign of her instead. He has like a symbol of her.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah. So then it says he has no trouble finding the cave, but it had been abandoned. So he sort of goes back to the initial place, but it's empty. Like I don't know, something about that feels important too, but I can't quite unpack that. And this is interesting. This always confused me. Maybe you can speak to this or something. But he goes back to the cave. The cave is abandoned, and the nail's lying on the ground in the cave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't
I
like.
mean that,
Why didn't he take the nail from the turnip bowl? Like, like there's a nail
yeah.
here, and then there's a nail there.
But it is sort of following him everywhere.
Yeah.
And there is like you pointed out that parallel between the bowl and the cave, and both of them have the nail just lying there.
Oh.
And nail lying on the ground, that means it's not doing what it's supposed to do. And it is an artificial thing, and it is defined mostly by but by what its use is, you know. And that's sometimes the problem with this sort of Heidegger. The problem with technology is that we start to possibly we start to see everything in terms of it's a tool to be used rather than a thing in itself, a part of life and everything. And you can kind of
Oh.
get too wrapped up in that. But anyway, that I don't know if
Yeah.
that's at all relevant here, but yeah, just the fact that the nail is just sitting there on the ground, there's something that's his, let's just say this. He goes back to the cave and it feels forlorn. And
Uh-huh.
then what he senses, what he sees is the one thing, the nail on the floor.
Mm.
So, you know, and these stories are all about it's always like a movement from one thing to the next, right? There's no lingering and everything. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
the next, if it's like a video game, that's the thing to do next.
Little
Or
spotlight, yeah. Glowing.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool because that was the same thing that you said about the him knowing like his eye being drawn to the red flower on the branch and knowing that that was the thing. Like here his it's the cave is abandoned, but his eye is drawn to the nail and he knows that that's the thing.
Yeah.
And he grabs the nail and he puts it back in the wall, which is interesting. It's just occurring to me right now that that's like so one of the important things with regards to trauma and like I think Peter Levine is probably where this comes from originally. If anybody wants to look into it, he can probably say it much better than I'm going to bumble over it. But there's something about trauma can be like a response that you never got to finish making, or something that you feel that was done to you, or something like that.
Right. Yes,
And
totally.
here he
Yeah.
grabs the nail and he puts it into the wall himself. So he's reenacting the initial wounding,
Yeah.
but consciously and voluntarily and choosing to do it. And so
Yeah.
rewriting the old program of like, oh,
Yeah.
somebody put the nail in my wall and I'm
Yeah.
wounded and I'm stuck in a cave. He's like, no, this is, let me see how this works. And
Right.
he does it
Right.
himself. So there's like a
Right.
reclaiming of agency there
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah, completely.
is super cool. And I hadn't thought of that before. So that's just from this discussion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and as soon as he does that, the cave is no longer abandoned, and the old woman and the bear reappear. Which, like, if the old woman and the bear are split off parts of himself, it's like he's voluntarily stepping into the realm or the perspective where, okay, yes, I was wounded in this way and it split off these parts of myself and I can't relate to them. But now it's happening according to my will and I
Yeah.
can come and I can go. And
Right.
okay, then, then but even then he's still a little bit like, because to my mind, if he is really doing what I'm saying and he's like claiming his agency and whatever, he's like, okay, boom, all right, I see you. Now I'm going to look at you and I'm going to take the nail. He's going to be very confident about it, right? But he's not. He's not. He's like, tell me now, and don't deny that you have the answer. He shouts at the old woman, what did you do with the beautiful maiden? So he's still blaming. There's still a tone of like resentment or anger or like, I didn't entitlement. I didn't get my princess I was promised, you know?
That's right.
Um,
Yes.
and then the woman is like, but I'm right here. Why do you keep rejecting me?
Right. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and the prince is still confused. But the bear nods in agreement with the old woman, and the bear just sort of like looks towards the nail, um, which the prince trusts for some reason. He doesn't trust the woman when the
Hmm.
woman says, "I'm the
That is
princess,"
interesting. Yes.
but he trusts the bear, and he says, "At least you are honest."
Yeah.
Uh, don't he tells the woman, "Don't deny that you have the answer," and he tells the bear, "At least you are honest." But I won't be fooled by the old woman a second time. So even still, this prince is a bit childish.
Yeah.
He's still a
Yeah.
bit entitled, and the bear at this point growls at him and is like, "Just pull the nail! Like,
Yeah.
come on,
Right.
man!
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
just just take it back out." And he doesn't even do that. Right? He pulls it halfway out. He pulls it halfway out, and he looks, and he's like, I don't know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and and then he sees the truth, that it's the old woman is the beautiful maiden and the bear is the man, but they're kind of half and so he's like, okay, I understand the whole process. And he finally gives into the process.
Yeah.
He's finally
Yeah.
there to pull the nail consciously out of the wall
Yeah.
and stay conscious through the whole thing.